Hi, Gabriel here from the New York City Guitar School. I'm here today to show you 3 songs that we can look at to introduce you to the technique of hybrid picking. Okay, cool. So the first song that we're going to be looking at today is the song Old Town Road. And we're going to be using this as a springboard to examine how we can use a technique called hybrid picking. Now, hybrid picking is when you pick using not only your guitar pick, but also using one of the other digits on your hand. For all the exercises today, we're going to be using our middle finger, our second finger, in combination with our guitar pick. So it's going to be these two. And we're going to be using these to play different notes. And the common theme is generally there's going to be a string being skipped, or maybe sometimes several strings being skipped. So let's take Old Town Road. I'll play a little bit of it for you first, and then we can examine how I'm using hybrid picking to play this. Okay, so this guitar part is made up of 2 independent lines. We have a higher line playing this note. And we have a lower part that plays this. Now we can play both parts using just the pick, but to play them both at the same time, to use just the pick alone is really awkward because you have to be very, very careful when you're muting. So let's look at how I use my the combination of my pick and my fingers. So I'm playing the low notes using my pick. So let's start off. We have the 4th fret of the 6th string. I'm going to be using my first finger. And now the next note is on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. And I'm using my 3rd finger. Now to play them at the same time, I'm picking this 4th fret of the 6th string with my pick. I'm using the middle finger, my 2nd finger on my picking hand. It's like a sweeping motion across the string. It's called a free stroke. And I'm just using that to brush over the string. I'm not like plucking it, I'm just brushing through the string. So pick gets the low note, and my 2nd finger on my picking hand gets that high note. Okay, and then we're going to pick those notes together. Just like that. I'm going to use the same picking in my right hand for the next thing. So then we're going to jump to the 2nd fret of the 5th and the 2nd string. And you can use either your 2nd and 3rd fingers. I use my 2nd and 3rd, or you can use your 1st and 2nd, or your 1st and 3rd. But for me, I like 2nd and 3rd, just makes sense in my brain. So I'm going 1st and 3rd for the 1st chord, then 2nd and 3rd for the 2nd chord where we're playing. Again, picking using your pick for the low note, middle finger for the high note, and then lastly, 2nd finger jumps down to the 2nd fret of the 6th string, and then open on the 6th string. Again, so pick takes the bottom note, the finger takes the high note. Great. Now the next song I'm going to be examining is the song Brown Eyed Girl, and it has a really iconic guitar riff at the start. Now you can play this again without using hybrid picking, but it doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound anywhere near as clear as using hybrid picking. So again, handling the low note with your pick, high note with your middle finger. So 4th fret of the 3rd string, 3rd fret of the 1st string. I'm playing those 2 notes together. Then I'm moving up with my 1st and 2nd finger, and then 2nd finger and 3rd finger. I'm going to play the 5th fret on the 3rd and 1st strings respectively. So we've gone 4th and 3rd to 5th and 5th. And then we move up to the 7th. The same string sets. And back down. That's the first half of the phrase. Again, low note with the pick, high note with my middle finger. Okay, now we're going to move up to the 8th fret with your 1st finger, and 9th fret with your second finger, 8th fret on the first string, 9th fret on the third string. And we're going to go again, low note with the pick, high note with your middle finger, your second finger. And we're going to repeat that same shape just from the starting point. So we're going to go 8th and 9th fret on the first and third string to the 10th fret on both those strings. Again, using your first and second for the first pair of notes, and then second and third for the next pair of notes. And again, we're going to jump up to the 12th fret using the same fingers and the same strings, and back down. Okay, so let's put those two pairs together. We've got two licks together. Great, okay, then we go back to the first riff again one more time. And then finally we have one little run where we use your third finger on the 7th fret of the third string, first finger on the 5th fret of the first string, again low note with the pick, high note with your middle finger. And then this is where you can use your pick for this little run up. We're going to go 7 on the second string, 8 on the second string, and then 5th on the first string. 7th on the second, 8th on the second, 5th on the first string. I'm using my pick for all those notes. And that's the full riff. So let's put it all together. Okay, great. Now there's one last riff that is a really iconic use of the hybrid picking technique, and that is the song Soul Man. Okay, so this one's a tricky one because it's got some pretty big slides and it's jumping all around the neck. But again, if you notice how I played that, low note with the pick, high note with my finger, and I'm just using my second and third fingers for all of these note pairs. So we're starting on the 7th fret, and we're going to be playing on the third and first string on the 7th fret. Now you'll notice there's a little inflection. We're going to slide in to that 7th fret on the third string. We're going to slide in, and we're going to use your second finger on your picking hand to grab the 7th fret of the first string. So slide in on the third string onto the 7th fret, pick the 7th fret on the first string with your second finger on your picking hand. Okay, cool. Then we pick that 7th fret again and slide down to the 5th fret, but we keep the pressure on both fingers, so you get this really nice like ghost slide on the third string as well. I don't know if that's a technical term, but I just coined it. Ghost slide. Anyway, so we slide in on the 7th fret on the third string down to the 5th fret without picking that, but we will pick the 7th fret on the first string and slide down to the 5th. So that pair goes together. So that full phrase so far, we slide into the 7th fret, we pick the 7th fret on the first string with your middle finger on your picking hand, on your second finger. Then we pick using your pick and slide down. So there we go. Okay. The next part of the phrase, we're going to pick, you can do it two ways. You can pick the high note using your pick first, jump down to the third string and pick using the pick. But that's kind of tricky. So I like to even though I've picked for that slide down from the 7th fret, I'm then going to go middle finger on my picking hand, pick, middle finger to go first, third, first. So there's full phrase so far. Okay, cool. Here comes the big slide. It's an imitation of the first slide where we slid into the 7th fret, but now we're going to slide up to the 10th fret and do the same inflection. So we're going to go from that 5th fret all the way to the 10th fret of the third string, and then pick the 10th fret on the first string. So, and then we're going to do the same thing on to the 12th fret. So slide on the third string, pick the first string on the 12th fret, using my second finger on my picking hand. And same thing on the 14th fret, slide onto the 14th fret on the 3rd string, pick using the second finger on my picking hand on the 1st string. So that full riff. And that's Soul Man. I hope this was a useful lesson for you. It's a really great introduction to a fairly tricky but incredibly useful technique. There's a lot more that we can go into with this subject, and hopefully I'll be getting a bit deeper into different ways we can use hybrid picking in the future. One of the most common ways that I like to use it in my own playing is combining it with legato technique with hammer-ons and pull-offs to create a more fluid picking sound, and it tends to relax my right hand, my picking hand a lot more. So hopefully we can get into that in future. But for now, this is a great primer. Practice these 3 licks and then see if you can find some other things. Like you can use some great country fills, like that kind of stuff. You can even practice using multiple strings at once. So you don't necessarily have to use just your middle finger. You can also use your 3rd finger and even your pinky to play things like chords. And that's a really great technique to examine as well. But really just experiment with this, see what you can find that you enjoy. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll get straight back to you. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, I've been Gabriel, and thank you so much from myself at the New York City Guitar School.